Okay, we're live. Yay! Hey, aloha, Love Tribe. Guess who I've got here on the Bitcoin Peace and Music podcast? I have somebody who's got such a huge heart that he is representing Bitcoin as the best guy I know who's had heart surgery and has brought the Bitcoin community together with love and support. So, welcome, Derek Ross. Yay! How's it going?
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Heck
It's
yeah.
great. It's great to put a face and a name together, and a voice and everything. The whole nine yards is great.
It's so cool. Well, I remember when you were, starting to make some posts about, your upcoming surgery and you're like, "Whoa, this is kind of crazy," and you've been dealing with this your whole life. I really felt like I started witnessing like the heart opening of the whole community toward you. And I'm still pretty new to the community, or I know some people don't like to say that word, but it is a community, guys.
Oh, it
It's
is. It is.
you know,
Yeah, we are a community, and there's various sections of the community that's really close knit and tight. And I really, discovered that because, as you were saying, my surgery. So, last fall I made a post, kind of like scared to death, like, oh man, like this may be in my future. And the amount of love and support that I got just from fellow Bitcoiners, people that I barely knew, was absolutely amazing. And then, follow up to that, like, another month or so later, I said, okay, I have more news. Here's the more news. It's, it's looking like this is definitely in my future. And I kept giving updates every month or so as I was getting more information. And every single time I got all sorts of love and support. And it really does help. Like, it really makes you feel good. And especially whenever I was giving updates as I was in the hospital, like, it's amazing what it does, like, psychologically, just for people to say that, that they're rooting for you, and they're pulling for you, they support you, they love you. And the Bitcoin community gets a lot of, hate, is, like, toxicity, and people are mean, and there's all sorts of reports that come out, like, saying, the Bitcoiners are psychopaths, they don't care about anybody else. Like, that's just not true. Like, the amount of love and support that I got over the past, 6-7 months has been, really eye-opening. And I love the community. Like, I love my fellow Bitcoiners. Like, people really came out and showed their support for me, and it really did help.
Yeah, I imagine, like, I know I had 3 surgeries a couple years ago. I had wrist surgery, I broke my wrist, and I'm like, "Wow, it would I wonder what it would have felt like to have that type of a support system." I wasn't into Bitcoin yet, and my community was, not really not Bitcoiners, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
It definitely helps, though. Like I keep saying, like, it was really surprising, just to, that what the psychological aspect of it is. Like, obviously I was fighting hard, and I wanted to do whatever I could to heal fast and recover and come home to my family. And just, just seeing hundreds of people comments and just pouring their hearts out, giving love and support. It was a great feeling. It really did help me.
And how, because I remember your wife was, kind of fielding some things for you when you were, in recovery and everything. Like,
Yeah.
how did that land for her?
So this is a story that she likes to tell. So unfor- unfortunately, I was on a ventilator after surgery for about 9 hours, and that was not a good time. I do not recommend that for anybody.
Ugh.
It was not fun. I woke up. They told me there was like a 40% chance, or 60%, I don't remember which, that I would wake up on a ventilator for like 2 hours. Um, and I was like, okay. So I went into surgery. I woke up, and the very first thing that I felt was, oh, my chest doesn't really hurt right now. Oh, I guess I'm still groggy from the medicine. They didn't even do the surgery yet. And then I'm kind of like, I'm looking around, and it's like, okay, all right, maybe, oh God, like, I think I'm on a ventilator right now. And so I'm tied down to the bed. Like, I can't move my wrists, can't move my arms, legs, can't talk because I have a ventilator, in my throat. And so I'm like trapped in my body, and everyone's telling me, Derek, you need to breathe. Derek, you need to breathe. You need to calm down. Derek, you need to calm. So I'm like, dude, how do I breathe with this thing in my throat? Like, I don't know how to. All I wanted for somebody to do was just say, okay, you need to breathe out your mouth. You need to breathe in your nose, or what? I didn't know. So that was not a good time. I was so angry and frustrated. And so I was passing out and coming in and out of consciousness and everything. And then eventually I was with it enough that I was, trying to communicate. So this is where my wife comes in. So as soon as I was okay, she gave her updates on Twitter, because I said, everybody, be curious to go ahead and post and keep people updated with my progress. So I couldn't really communicate with, like I said, because I was tied down and thinking, so I could blink and I could move my fingers. Like that was it. And that was the most frustrating thing, trying to communicate with people by blinking and moving my fingers. But eventually, my wife and I decided, or she figured out that, all right, I'm going to say the alphabet and you're going to squeeze my hand when I get to a letter to spell out stuff. So we start doing that, and I made the motion. I was making this motion here with my fingers, and my dad looked at me. He's like, "Hang 10, Derek." I was like, "No, like I'm not doing hang 10. I want to call somebody." But so that made me mad. But eventually, they figured out that this meant I wanted to call somebody, and I wanted to call one of my closest friends. I talked to him. I wanted to talk to my sister. I have 3 younger sisters. I wanted to talk to my baby sister, even though she's almost 30 years old. She's my youngest sister. So I wanted to talk to her. And then I started spelling out, squeezing my wife's hand, the next thing I wanted to do. And she gets the whole way to the alphabet, and it's T. And she's like, T, who do we know that it's T? Okay, maybe our friend Travis. So then she starts going through the alphabet again, and she's getting really far down the alphabet. She's like, what the hell is he trying to spell? Then we finally get to W. She's like, W? Do you want to know if I updated Twitter? Like, she's like, oh, it's hilarious. And I'm like, yeah. Did you do that? Like, that was a priority. Like, I wanted to talk to my sister, I wanted to talk to my best friend, and wanted to know that Twitter knew that I was alive and well. Like, that's what I cared about.
Oh my God. That's amazing, Derek. Holy cow. I mean, first of all, like congrats, of course, for making it through. And what a horrible feeling to be trapped and not be able to
Yeah.
communicate. Like and then not be able to know how to breathe. Like that must have felt like, I mean, obviously that's like life-threatening feeling, like
Yeah.
not good, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course you want to make sure that your Bitcoin family knows you're okay.
Yeah,
Like, heck
exactly.
yeah. Like that is so cool. And I'm just so happy for you. I mean, I'm I'm a parent, and I'm a single mom, and I just know like it's not fun when the parents are incapacitated for a little while, and
Yeah.
it's just like it makes you really really look at your life. It's always that like, okay, what are my real priorities and everything. What was it like for you, like going through this? Did you have any kind of pre-surgery things that you did with your family for any, I'm just curious, what was it like for you to
So I
do that?
was, I thought I was fine. A little backstory. I had open heart surgery 4 days before my 3rd birthday. So I remember a handful of things from the recovery process, like, cause it was, traumatic, but they're good memories. They're fun memories of like family members in the hospital. My 3rd birthday was actually in the hospital. So I remember like the birthday cake and the nurses blowing up gloves as balloons. But anyways, so I didn't know that I was going to have a problem until the fall, when I just had a regular checkup, and the doctor was like, hey, let's get this checked out. So once I started to realize that I actually had a problem, and I started having symptoms, and I started getting weaker and stuff, like, and having fatigue, like, we still tried to do as many things together as a family. And I was scared to death. Like, I mean, I thought about, oh God, probably 1,000 times of dying and leaving my wife and my 2 kids. Like, that was my greatest fear. There's many times that I cried myself to sleep with my, laying in bed with my wife, like just scared. Like I wasn't ready to die. Like I did not want that to happen at 42 years old. Was
Mm-mm.
not expecting that. So we try to do as much as we, could as a family. One of our favorite things to do during the warm months is go out in our boat. So we were able to go out in our boat for a few times before my surgery. And because I knew I wouldn't be able to go out again for like another, till July, a month or so. So like that was something I really wanted to do. I wanted to go out in our boat with my family and, have a good time together. So we did that, and, we got to spend some nice moments together. But on the Bitcoin side of things. So I really started thinking, I'm like, man, like my wife knows into Bitcoin. I mine, I buy, I do all this other stuff, and I have for a while. But you know, what does she really know besides I talk all these geeky things to her, and she just smiles, and she knows it makes me happy. So she's happy about it. Like that, but she doesn't really probably grasp it. Maybe half of what I do. So, just from what I tell her, all she knows is we have money in Bitcoin, right? And so I started thinking, I was like, my kids know that, and my wife knows that, but what does that actually mean? Because if they don't know how to access it, and God forbid, the worst thing happens to me, like I don't want to make my donation to the blockchain. I did that back in 2009. I didn't want to donate again. So, that's another story we'll talk about.
One-time donor, no thanks.
Yeah, I didn't want to make my
gosh.
donation again. So I really had to make sure that I had my recovery process and set up. And I talked, I explained everything like to my wife. I sat down multiple times and made some notes for her on how some things functioned. My best friend that I called when I was in the recovery room. He's a tech geek like me. We work together. So I sat down with him. I was like, hey man, you used to mine back in the day. You understand all this stuff. So I'm going to explain to you like how everything works. So where I have my funds at, how to get them, how to recover, worst case scenario, if you need to recover. Said, basically my hardware wallet is junk. Who cares? The hardware wallet isn't the important thing. It's the seed phrase, and how to use that to recover, and just really explaining the whole 9 yards to, my wife and a close friend, just because I wanted them to have access to my Bitcoin. And I remember writing a note to my friend saying, like, don't let my wife spend this or sell this unless she absolutely has to, where it's going to impact like their lives, like they're going to have a bad life with it. Otherwise, have her hold on to it for 10 years and see where we're at in 10 years. Like, but obviously if, they're struggling, then they can sell it, like, and it was hard to do that. Like that was another emotional time, like coming up with these instructions to my friend and my wife, and just, really thinking about the what if scenarios. And again, do not recommend to have those. It's not not a fun time, but thankfully didn't have to go that route, so I'm happy there.
I'm happy too. And I know your family and Bitcoin community is ultra happy. So
Yeah.
we're glad you're here. So this is an important topic, obviously. I've been also in like the kind of, writing my will and estate and all that kind of stuff. And I started it like, I think last August, thinking, like, okay, I'm going to have it all done. And it takes a little longer, but it's an emotional experience to go through those things, especially when you have children, like, what do you do, right? You want them to hold it as long as possible, but you also want your family to be provided for and safe and cared for. And so, do you recommend any kind of way that, I don't know, are you using any like estate planner people or anybody to help you with those kinds of things?
No, I had thought about that, but I figured like having my wife having access to our Bitcoin and then my life insurance, she should be good. Like I didn't look into doing anything else. Like I figured that was enough. It's my family's, it's our, Bitcoin. I don't have anybody else that would be fighting over it. So it would go to my heirs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's oh my goodness. It's just so weird. Like thinking, somebody was talking about doing a thought. I was just listening to a podcast with Dan Weintraub. It was on Peter McCormick's podcast. And he was talking about, how our imaginations are limited because we're so filtered with our past and, what's happening now. It's difficult sometimes to really just drop everything and really just, what's the infinite future look like, and it's hard to imagine that 100, 200 years, like who would have thought we're today, like 150 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, wow.
Yeah, it's wild to think that I probably, will never Yeah, we'll see. But I may never sell my Bitcoin, and I may never spend it. Besides maybe a portion of it, but it's my children's and my grandchildren's money. I look at it. I really look at it, and I like the whole generational wealth angle.
Me too.
Yeah, like I think that's cool that I'm saving for my children's future and their children's future. Like that's just wild to, like you said, 100 years down the road. Like that's when it'll be needed most, I believe. And that's the reason, it's the whole reason that I stack Bitcoin.
Do you feel like, because you were mentioning, you don't know if you'll ever sell Bitcoin, and you might use some of it. Like, how do you feel like this impacts like the ultra hodl mindset? How do you feel like that impacts adoption, like mass
Well,
adoption?
so I of the vast majority of my Bitcoin is in cold storage. And then I have another portion of it that I keep around to spend. I've bought items with Bitcoin. I've sold items for Bitcoin. So I look at it as like a checking account and a savings account, right? Like my cold storage is my
Right.
savings account, and my checking account's my Lightning wallet, and that's what I use to buy things and use as money. And eventually, like if we look at the properties of money, which the Bitcoin standard, like that really taught me a lot. Like I learned more reading that book than I did in my college econ class. Like,
Me too. My
yeah,
whole college career, it's like, oh my God, how can I have a degree and work at Deloitte and not know what money is? It's like
yeah,
crazy. So it's definitely opened up a lot of like, oh, what else do I not know?
yeah. Like it was really eye opening, and based on that, so yes, holding, using it as a store of value is one of the phases of money. Eventually, the next phase is unit of account. Once enough people have it, enough people hold on to it for long enough, like that will eventually come down the road. So I think that years from now, could be 10 years, could be 30 years from now, that it will become the unit of account for many people, hopefully the entire world. That's our goal. That's the whole reason that we're here. But it will take time. Like it's not going to happen overnight. And I also think that things will probably get like worse for many countries, many people around the world before things get better, which is, not to be doom and gloomy, but there has to be a catalyst for Bitcoin to win more than it already is, in my opinion. And that's just going to take, I mean, we're already kind of seeing it with hyperinflation around the world. So maybe we're on the path there, and Bitcoin will come out, from the rise like a phoenix from the ashes, like the saying is.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, it seems like it certainly has caused a lot more ease in my nervous system knowing that Bitcoin exists, and I can't imagine, like, I always look at like before Bitcoin, after Bitcoin, like my mindset and the way that my nervous system is. And I feel a lot more, even with all the chaos that we're experiencing and that was probably coming down the pipeline even more, like there's just something, I do have a sense of hope and a sense of safety because of
Yeah.
it. And it's difficult to explain. I mean, it's nice that your wife is supportive of you and not just like, you're crazy, what are you doing?
She
Like,
trusts, yeah, she trusts me. She has for a while. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
good. I know my family, and I love them to pieces, but my children and, they're teenagers, and my ex-husband, they're just like, mommy, crypto's stupid, Bitcoin's stupid, this is stupid. And I'm just like, I know you'll get it eventually. And
And they can think that, and then in the future when they need it, they'll have it.
yeah, exactly. It's
It
one of
doesn't
those like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep stacking. Let me ask you about, because I know you're affiliated with Swan. Like, what's your thought on KYC, no KYC, and like, the future of potential confiscation from the government?
So I'm not really affiliated with Swan. I just have
You have
their referral
the
link in my
referral link.
bio
Okay,
because I
sorry.
really that's
Okay,
fine. Just because I really like Swan. Like I really
me
like
too.
Corey. I really like their ethos as a company. I
Yeah,
like their
they're awesome.
goal of trying to, the next 10 million, or I think it is Bitcoin, is like what they're really trying to do. So I like Swan a lot as a company. So I I tell a lot of people to use, Strike or Swan. So I have the Swan as my referral link there, just to help on board people to a platform that I think is one of the better ones. But yeah, I mean, the majority of my Bitcoin's KYC Bitcoin. There's a lot of people out there that think that that's bad. I don't know. I really don't care that much right now. I don't think that we are seeing evidence that makes me need to coin join all of my coins. Maybe I have done that. Maybe I haven't. But there are ways for to get some of your privacy back, and I really think privacy is a human right. So
Mhm.
I do think that KYC isn't good. I understand the reasoning why governments around the world do it. They want to stop money laundering and things like that. So I understand why they're doing it, because there's bad actors in every financial asset of society. So I understand the reasoning for it, but we have ways to kind of get around that, like I said, by coin joining and by using the Lightning Network and things like that. So I think that we do have ways to get some of our privacy back.
Well, but it's forward privacy, right? Because like if you're, doing KYC, whether it's through, God forbid, Coinbase or something like that,
Yeah, so they would know.
like,
Yes, so if I bought everything through Swan or Coinbase or wherever, they would know where I bought it or how much I bought, right? So yes, they would know roughly my holdings, I guess, if I bought it all that way.
yeah.
So yeah, so that is, I mean, I guess kind of a concern, but then like the whole argument is, well, I messed up. Like I tried to transfer to a hardware wallet and made and mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah. So
Digits were mixed up.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, like CoinJoin is a nice feature, but it doesn't like you said alleviate the exchange, the government from knowing how much you originally bought, or so they do have that there, but like I also mine too, and those are KYC free sats.
Hi.
Mm.
Hi.
That's
How
my
are you?
She didn't know that I was doing this. She wasn't home. I apologize.
Don't worry, it's all good. We'd started last week we did a live spaces. Hi, honey. Um, and one of the guests there, she was in the car and her kids were there, and it was somebody who we were just at the beef initiative conference together, and her children, we were hanging out and DJing together, and I was teaching them how to DJ, and they're like, "Is that the DJ lady on the phone?" And I'm like, "Hey!" So it's like we're not hardcore here at the
Yeah.
Beef and Music Show.
Yeah.
We're
She wanted to
family
show
friendly.
me. She wanted to show me her flute that she just got. She plays the flute, and
Me too.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, she's really good. Very proud of her. And she's been borrowing one from the school for the past couple years. So she just went and got. My wife took her to get one, so she owns her own now. So she was very excited to come down and show me. I told her I will check it out and look it all over and watch her play as soon as we're done.
That's so cool. And I remember I loved putting on like little concerts for my family. Like, we're gonna
Oh
do a
yeah.
show. It's
Yep.
showtime.
Oh yeah. She's amazing. She walks around the house playing or rides her hoverboard and plays, like performs. I love it.
Oh my goodness, that's talent right there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I can't even do anything. I broke my wrists roller skating, which I thought like, "Oh, right, I used to roller skate when I was young. I can totally do this." And this was like literally 2 weeks before all the lockdown and COVID,
Mhm.
and totally shattered my wrist.
Oh
I'm like,
no.
maybe I shouldn't be on like wheelie things at this age.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. A few years ago, we took our kids um, roller skating, and I was like, man, I haven't roller skated in 30 years. I
Mhm.
used to be good, but I was
I know,
12. Like,
right.
like I hope I do okay. I was like, oh god, I'm gonna kill myself.
I
It was
know,
fun.
and so
I didn't hurt myself. It was
that's
great
good,
though.
you made it. I know, I was like, "I wish I woulda had wrist guards or something," but
Yeah.
whatever, it's all good. Um, let's chat a little bit about what's happening currently right now. I wanna circle back to the communication thing that you brought up during your recovery. This is important, and this is something, um, I think, I'm constantly trying to improve my ability to be a better communicator, because I find that it really impacts my relationships in a great way if I can learn how to be uh, more efficient and more compassionate and effective, and so I'm really, really on a mission to become a better communicator, especially as a Bitcoiner, because I want to learn like how to communicate to different people who have different, um, incentives of like, why would they even care about Bitcoin, right? Like,
Yeah.
why would your daughter care about Bitcoin versus why would my mom care about Bitcoin and stuff? And so your experience of all of a sudden you're just like in your face, right? You're kind of like, I'm strapped down and I need to figure out how to ask for what I need and what I want, and how does that kind of translate, I think, with the Bitcoin community as a whole? Because I think what I'm seeing, especially as like a little, sparkly woman, um, is I'm total maxi, and I get the whole energy around like fierce protection, and we don't want, the shit coiners and all that stuff out there scamming people and rug pulling people and misleading them so that, the VCs and all these people can get their money and then leaving everybody holding. Um, how do you address like becoming a better communicator as a Bitcoiner, and still being a fierce maxi, like.
Well, so my day job for the past 20 years, I guess, almost, uh better part of 2 decades, we'll say, has been in information technology. So my day job is literally to disseminate technical information
Hmm.
to non-technical people. That is something that I do all day long. And um, I think that because I'm so used to doing that, and I like doing it. Like, back when I was an entrepreneur and it had my own business, like I won customer service awards with the local chamber of commerce. Like, I really enjoyed helping people. I really enjoyed getting people to use technology and understand technology. So that kind of comes natural for me when I encounter people and, skeptics in real life, and they ask me, what's Bitcoin, or why do I like Bitcoin so much, or what's Bitcoin for, or hey, have you heard of Dogecoin or Solana or whatever? And I was like, all right, here we go. All right, so like, and I don't have a problem explain. Like, I will sit there and explain why these things are good and why these things are bad and the differences between them. And I think that is, the maxi job, to explain to people why these things are different, and like you said, like why the majority of these will end up in, people getting wrecked or scammed, because it happens every day. Like, it's astonishing how often this really happens. And then I'll talk about from experience, saying that, I've been in Bitcoin off and on again for a long time, and I've seen over the past couple years, when I've dug in a lot deeper, what really happens. Like, I traded shit coins. I thought that I was a genius in the bull market, from
Yeah.
2 years ago. You literally couldn't, make a mistake. I thought I was awesome.
All that in the bag of chips.
And,
Oh, there you
until,
go.
until I wasn't, right? But it took, those learning experiences for me to really grow and become a full, a blown Bitcoin maxi. So I look at it as, I've already had these experiences. I've already gone through them. Um, Let me use my experiences for you. Like, let me help you out so you don't make mistakes. And just go at it as like you really want to help people, and you don't want them to make mistakes. You don't want to see them get hurt. You don't want to see them lose money. And that will work a majority of the time, but a lot of people are they want to learn for themselves. They need to get hurt before they'll make those changes in their lives, and that happens with a lot of different aspects in life. So
Totally. Oh my gosh. It's the ego. It's the I got this. I know what's up. And I mean,
Yeah,
I've been there. We've all been there,
yeah,
especially as younger folks. It's just
yeah.
like
So,
you
so
you old people are stupid. And I got. I mean, that's.
yeah, yeah. So like we tell them about the boomer coin, that doesn't do anything, except have its utility is it goes up in value. Okay, it may not be the most exciting thing, but it's literally changing the world. Look at me, and I guess one of the best arguments is well, look at all the countries adopting Ethereum and Solana and Dogecoin as their national currency. I'll wait. Tell me about them. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a
Give me
reason
the
that
press
that's
release. Okay, I want to
yeah
check out that
there's a
press
reason
release,
that that's
please.
not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is. It's one of those. It's hard to, and I know I find myself occasionally. I get a little like self-righteous or cocky about it because it's like I feel like I have to match some of that energy that other people are delivering to, and then I'm just like, I want to be peaceful and talk nicely and all this, but sometimes it's just like,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I understand that. Like when the whole Luna thing was happening,
Oh,
I felt bad for people, but I'm not gonna lie. I also posted some funny memes and some sayings and dunked on people. And the same with Solana too.
oh gosh.
You can only tell people so many times what they're doing is not good.
Yeah.
And after that, it's on you. It's on them. Like if you want to put your money in something that is down just as much as it's up, I I would not do that, but whatever. I've tried to tell you for months, years, whatever, that this is not a good thing, and when it goes, I'm gonna laugh. Like I'm not. I don't want to be a jerk, but I can't help you. I tried.
Yeah.
So it. I don't know. Like a lot of people say, oh, we should be humble, and I get that. I do, but it's also kind of fun sometimes too. To generate laughs and have a good time. Like in the end, yes, I may post some things that aren't entirely nice when people have gotten wrecked, but you know deep down, I do feel bad that happened to people. And maybe you'll look at this in the future and not have it happen again. Like the Maxis were right.
Yeah. The maxis were right. I know it's like cocaine, right? It's kind of like, yeah, you might be able to get away with that a couple times, but like if you think that that's going to be your jam every night or every weekend, like it's going to eat
It's gonna
you.
it's gonna catch up
You're
to
going to
you.
get in trouble with this stuff. It's no bueno. And so unfortunately, some people, just have that propensity for the short-term gain, and that mindset of instant gratification. And
Yeah,
if it's gone up today, it's always going to go up or however, our mindsets work, especially, you know, the gambling kind of mentality that it is.
yeah.
And
That's what I was just gonna say. It's a gambling addiction, really is that
yeah,
people look and they want to make a lot of money quick. Whereas me, I'm okay making a lot of money slowly over time. Like
yeah,
I'm okay. I don't need to, you know, go 1,000x, by next week. I want to have my holdings go up by the time I'm ready to retire. That's my goal. Like I need more Bitcoin. I don't need more fiat, is the saying is.
yeah, big time. How has your time preference since you became a Bitcoiner? So it sounds like you said in 2009 you had a donation to the to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Uh,
Yeah, I
um,
mined Bitcoin back in 2009, and I had a friend I played video games with that said, "Hey, you're a tech guy. Check this out. It's internet money." I was like, "Oh, sweet. That sounds cool." He didn't tell me anything about it because it was all new. No one really knew anything about it in the beginning, and I didn't read the white paper. I didn't go to the forums. I didn't do anything. I installed software this guy told me to run, and then after months, like I don't know how long it was, 3, 4, 6 months, whatever. I was like, you know what? I don't know what this thing does. All I know is it makes my computer hot and run all the time. I'm uninstalling it and deleting it. And that hard drive is at the bottom of a landfill somewhere in Pennsylvania, I'm sure. And now, I mean, the block rewards were 50 Bitcoin back then.
Oh God, dude.
And I know I can remember seeing rewards. I can remember seeing coins in Bitcoin QT. I remember it. Oh well. Oh well. I'm
Oh,
back now. It may have taken me, a decade, but I'm back now.
Oh my gosh. I know. It's just you don't know what you don't know, and it's obviously this brand new thing, and yeah, I can imagine that must have just been like, "Oh, wait a minute, this thing's gonna be a whole game changer." Like, it is really interesting. I mean, just seeing, like, the way that people approach it today, in all these different parts of the world. I mean, where do you think, like, obviously, El Salvador, um uh, mandated legal tender last year, and so we're coming up on that year anniversary. Who do you think's next?
Well, I think that any country that relies on another country's fiat, whether that be a country in Africa relying on the French franc, or a currency that's denominated from the or pegged to the franc, or countries in Latin America that have a lot of GDP that comes from remittances, or
Mm.
there could be like Tonga in the Pacific. A large portion of their GDP is remittances. Really, any country that utilizes remittances, like they're getting screwed by Western Union. Like, it would make absolute sense to get 30% of your money back just by saying, "Hey, we're going to use Bitcoin." Like, that's insane if you really think about it. That is the best use case for someone that doesn't understand Bitcoin, and so, just to say, well, use it as a network to move funds where you don't have to spend 20 and 30% of it in fees. Like Western Union and in MoneyGram and all these other places that nickel and dime people down to where they're getting, $70 for every $100 in remittances they get. And that's why that's wild that happens today, when money just, it's all done electronically. Nobody gets in a truck and drives down to Panama, for somebody in Panama that their family's working up here in the United States, and drops off the money truck. Like, it's all electronic. So I don't understand why we still have these fees today in our society when technology drives everything, but we do. So Bitcoin fixes that, right? So to answer your question, I think it would be a smart move for any country that heavily relies on remittances or relies on another country's currency, to move to Bitcoin. Like, immediately overnight, it'll improve their GDP, like without even doing anything.
Yeah, and I feel like to your point about with the remittances, that was one of the like ahas for me too when I started learning about that. I was like, oh wow, this is really important. And a few years ago, it's really cool because this woman who's starting to work with us again, she lives in El Salvador. She's a virtual assistant and marketing podcast editor person, and she helped me a couple of years ago back in 2019 with a project. And, we've been in touch, and just a few weeks ago, I was like, do you have any room on uh, your docket for a couple hours of helping us? We've got this other project coming together, this 11x Love thing. And she's just like, yeah, sure. And, so it's neat to communicate with her in El Salvador. Like, what's it like? Is it a big deal? So we're going to have some fun. I'm going to actually interview her for the podcast because I want to learn, like,
Yeah.
just a really good conversation. But I do remember, because there was another woman that was on the team, and both of them would tell me back in 2019 how dangerous El Salvador was and how dangerous it was to leave their house, and how they couldn't leave their houses, without, another person. And it was sort of
Yeah.
scary, especially at night, and I was just like, huh. And so it just didn't really dawn upon me, especially with, oh, you got to leave your house, travel across wherever to go to Western Union and then pick up physical dollars and hope that you don't get robbed on the way home,
Yeah.
with that physical cash in your hand. And so I was like, wow, this, in addition to saving lots of time and the fees, it's like you're giving yourself more of a sense of security too. And so it really does, it can serve a lot of purposes for
Yeah.
folks, I think,
Yeah, there was a video, maybe it was almost a year ago now, where there was a guy that he had to travel an hour, I think, each way to pay a bill. Maybe it was his electric bill or something like that. And he was saying, down in El Salvador, and he was saying how he doesn't have to, risk doing that now. He can just pay through Bitcoin, and it saved him a lot of time, but it was also safer for him too. Because
Yeah.
there were people that would go to, Western Union or go to the bank and we're sitting outside uh, waiting for other people to get their money, and then they were getting robbed. Like, yeah, like that. So that's definitely a nice use case. But I also think that Bukele has done a lot in the past year, or even the past 2 years since he's been president, for gang violence, and safety in El Salvador. Like, I've talked to some Bitcoiner friends that have been to El Salvador, been to Bitcoin Beach in San Salvador, and said that it's that they felt safe, and they were there with their wives, and they're going to go back down with their kids. Like, they plan on having family vacation there. Like, it's not any, at least the areas that they were in, it's not any different than somewhere that they would go to, and maybe, I don't know, somewhere in the United States. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's bad areas of every city. There's
Mhm.
bad areas, of every country, but for the most part, they said they were safe, and they felt safe, and they're going to bring their kids there. So that that's different, because like historically, we were always told that, El Salvador there's a lot of violence and a lot of gangs, and that was years ago. That was what I thought of, because that's what the media told us, that's what El Salvador was about.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to know that my perception has changed, and I'm happy to see that Bukele is, cracking down on gangs and locking them up and really cleaning up his country. Like, and I think we just saw 82%. I think tourism is up over the past year. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so Bitcoin is doing good for El Salvador. Like, Bitcoin is helping, and that, I mean, if El Salvador needs to be the poster child for any country that's looking to attract tourists and foreign capital, like, well, I guess it wouldn't be so much foreign capital anymore. It'd be Bitcoin capital. But um, I mean, El Salvador is the perfect example for it. Like, they're prospering right now. It's only been like not even a year.
Yeah, it's exciting and so hopeful, and I think, for all of us knowing like, wow, there's going to be some transitions coming with a lot of these currency collapses happening. And so what are they going to do? Are they going to go to the dollar? Are they going to go to Bitcoin? What are they going to try to do? And I'm like, go to Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to deal with the IMF and all of those guys. And so, right. I don't know. That seems
Yeah.
to be a good incentive.
Yeah, I mean, historically, when other currencies collapse, like, they go to the dollar. I mean, that's what we've seen for years. It'd be nice if they went to Bitcoin. I mean, maybe all the money printing that we've done over the past 2 years, that they could look at, other countries could look at that as saying, well, what happened in our country is slowly happening in the United States. Maybe we need to opt out and go to Bitcoin instead. Like, that's the hope, that they see that, and realize that, money printing leads to various bad things in the economy, and could lead to, the collapse of fiat.
Yeah. I'm curious if we're going to get to that state of collapse altogether yet.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like, I don't want to see that happen in my lifetime, right? Because it's going to be bad for a lot of people. I don't want my kids to have to go through that, because it's going to be bad for them. Like, I don't want that to happen, but we're really almost on the road to that happening, though, and it's scary when you think about it. So if it is going to happen, then we have, digital gold. We have assets that can help us out and bring us out of whatever hole the collapse of fiat puts us in. So I look at it that way: is that the Bitcoin will be our light, at the end of the tunnel, our beacon of hope, if the collapse of fiat really does happen.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you there for sure. I also, the several layers, right? You've got like the mental health implications of collapse of anything, whether it's your government, whether it's your money, whether it's, your environment around you. Um, this is where I feel like I'm really interested in being like I don't know, like the life raft for people from a heart level, because it's
Yeah.
like, it's hard taking your life and the whole thing that you were used to thinking the way it was. And then all of a sudden now you've got like, wow, this new paradigm that I have to look at the world view through,
Yeah.
and it's difficult. Change is difficult for any human. And, even though sometimes we're like, yeah, it's great, we're going to have this new thing. Um, it's really having that, like, I don't know, that buffer in between the before and after kind of thing. I really want to help people because it's hard, especially when our egos are there and it's like, I'm an old hedge fund manager and I know how all this stuff works. Like, oh, you guys are crazy, and it's like when those egos start having to, have their day of reckoning with the truth of
Mhm.
what the future is going to be, it's like I'm hoping that we can help be, compassionate for people and, okay, come on, it's okay. It's going to be okay. I promise.
Yes. And, and,
You
and I
know?
think that's probably going to morph into our job is, Bitcoiners
Yeah.
to, let people know that it's going to be okay, that, they'll be able to come out of this.
Yeah, I think so too. And, especially sharing stories. I used to live on Maui and we talk, in Hawaii, they say like talk story.
Hmm.
And so it's just the way that you share stories. Like you just shared your story about in 2009, right? And so
Hmm.
it helps us feel more related and not alone and not stupid,
Yeah.
because it's like we've all make mistakes, whether it's with money or relationships or health or whatever, any of it. And so nobody's this badass perfect person. We're all just, yes, we're badasses, but none of us are perfect.
Oh yeah, as I tell my kids all the time, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them. It's what you do after you make the mistake.
It is. I think her name's Sarah Blakely. She started Spanx. Are you
Okay.
familiar with that brand?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I think I remember listening to a story. I don't know if it was Brene Brown, but somebody was telling the story about Sarah Blakely's dad. And I think Sarah Blakely's a billionaire now, I believe. Her dad at the dinner table would always have the conversation and say, so how did you fail today? And he would ask everybody, like, because it means you took some risk. It means you tried something. It wasn't like, how did you just stay in the little box today and
Yeah.
follow the rules? And so I really admired that, just one question, because then it gives you that, like, you're comfortable making mistakes. And that's part of instead of trying to hide it and mask it and not, be human, which, we
Yeah.
are.
I think that's kind of like an ethos of Bitcoin too. Like
Yeah.
if people shitcoin and they try to trade and they get wrecked, we'll welcome you over to Bitcoin. Like you say, hey, I learned my lesson. I'm not doing that anymore. You are welcome here to be, every time this happens, like every time somebody gets wrecked or there's a hack, like new maxis are born. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I think it's perfectly fine for that to happen.
Yeah, and I think I really do appreciate everybody who's just like, "Come on, I know it sucked. Come on, we'll dust you off over here. Let's go." Um, I love it. Um, any any final thoughts that you want to share with us in the audience about being the best Bitcoin dad and recovering from surgery and the future of life for you? Like,
Well,
what's on the future for
so,
you?
for Bitcoin Dad, like I have two children. I pay them their allowances in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
They use Moon Wallet,
nice.
and when it's time for them to get their allowance, they create an invoice, and I send them their Bitcoin. So I'm teaching them, how to use Bitcoin, and they're used to making invoices and payments and everything. Because if they need fiat for something like, they want to go to the movies or go to sporting event or something, they need cash, then we'll convert it back. That's fine. They can send me an invoice, and I'll take the sats back, and then I give them, $5, $10, whatever, whatever. So I'm teaching them how this works. Like it's going to be second nature to them here by the time they're ready to actually use it.
Yeah.
Um, Next, I guess I wouldn't be a good stack chainer if I didn't talk about stack chain.
Yeah, talk about, because I haven't started doing the stack chain thing. Tell me
I
what
was gonna
stack
say,
chain is.
you haven't participated in stack chain?
No, I keep seeing it, and
Ah,
I swear my bandwidth for all this, I'm like, I gotta get in and do all this. So yeah, tell
all right.
tell Grandma Val here.
Okay, so stack chain it's literally just buying Bitcoin and posting a screenshot about it, right? That's at its core, that's what it is. So it's people buying Bitcoin and one upping each other each time. So if you buy it started out at $5, then someone bought $6, then someone bought $7 and $8, $9, and $10, and so forth. So each and every single time we increased the amount of Bitcoin by $1. So once we got up to 100, then it was 101, then the next person buys 102, and so forth. And as of a little bit ago, we hit $821.
Oh,
so
cool.
So all together, we as stack chainers, people that are consecutively buying Bitcoin one after the other, we've bought $330,000 worth of Bitcoin over the past 2.5 weeks. Like that's incredible. Like, and it grows exponentially. So let's say, all right, maybe it's what did I say? The last buy was like before we started this podcast.
821 or something.
Yeah, it was 821. So if you don't have $822 to buy the next block, like we call them blocks, just like Bitcoin, if you can't mine the next block or buy the next block, we allow you to do stack joins, which is so I can buy $5 or $10 or $100, whatever I can afford. And I say, hey, does anyone want to use my transaction to build off of to complete a block? So you can have 2, 3, 4, 5 people, whatever, pooling small transactions together to come up with a full amount for the next block. And then you buy it, you post your screenshot in that Twitter thread, so it becomes a chain, one after another. You reply to the last buyer with your buy. And sometimes things get crazy. Like, 2 people buy the same amount and they reply back. So we have chain forks, right? Just like with Bitcoin, there's a fork. We have to resolve it. So then somebody has to hurry up and try to buy more and build on top of one of those forks, because the longest chain wins. Again, just like with Bitcoin. And we have that happen a lot, especially around certain numbers that are really popular, like maybe 420 or 69 or 444, 800, things like that. So these like whole numbers or special like pop culture numbers, a lot of people want that is their buy, just so they can kind of etch that into the stack chain. Is I bought this number, and
I got 777.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
people will fight over these. Like people will. So if, like you said, 777. So maybe for that one, someone started buying. They spent a lot of money. Maybe they bought 774, 775, 776, and then 777 and 778. So nobody can build on top of that. And we see that happening a lot. Like people spend thousands of dollars now just to get a block. It's, I mean, it's crazy. Now, there's also a lot of people that don't have that amount of fiat available, and they still participate with stack joins. They just buy $5, $10 here and there, and people use those to complete blocks. And one last thing about the stack chain is today we partnered. I say we stack chainers partnered with the crypto couple, Walker and Carla, that put out those amazing, like, awesome
Love
Bitcoin
those
videos.
two. Yeah, they're the bomb, dude.
They are, yeah. So they're down in El Zonte right now, and they went to Hope House and spoke with Roman Martinez, I think his name is, and worked with him. Like he works, for Bitcoin Beach and everything. And we have a donation address where stack chainers are donating to Bitcoin Beach, and then what they're doing is that Bitcoin Beach will then use that money for Bitcoin education for kids, for students. They'll set them up with a wallet. They'll give them $5 worth of sats and send them on their merry way, teach them how to use Bitcoin and send them off with it. So it's a mission of Hope House to do that. And so now we're actually giving back to Bitcoin Beach, to El Salvador, with donations. And as of, I said an hour ago before we started, we were up to over $800 that we raised for Hope House. And that's tons and tons of kids that are going to get $5 worth of Bitcoin to be able to figure out, why Bitcoin is good, why they should use Bitcoin, and what exactly, this all means. And they're going to have money to, real Bitcoin, real money to do this with. So anybody can participate in this. All you have to do is buy Bitcoin. You use the hashtag stacks 4 Bitcoin Beach. And
Stacks for Bitcoin Beach. Okay.
And you post your screenshot of your buy with that hashtag, and then we will add that to the stack chain. And we actually have an address. So if you check the crypto couple's latest video, they have a QR code and a Bitcoin address where you send the money to and the Bitcoin to, and it'll go to El Salvador. It'll go to
Oh,
Bitcoin
that's
Beach.
so awesome. Well, so
Yeah.
guess what? So we're like right now we're live on Twitter and everything. And so once we, when we wrap up here in a minute, um, it'll be there in a post. So if we can go and we can go put all those links and stuff
Yeah,
just
we can
directly
do
in this
that.
video post. And then I'll be editing the podcast and it'll go on Fountain and all the other places where people can just listen to the audio. But this will be fun to like
Yeah,
promote the El Zonte project down there. And
definitely.
yeah,
Like
I love it.
we're giving back to to El Zonte, to Bitcoin Beach. It's great.
I know, like thankful for them, right? Like that they exist and now El
Yeah.
Salvador's got this whole thing. So I think it's a blessing. I'm just so grateful for all of the people out there who are so generous with their time and their wisdom like you. And, we spend all this time, we're just like, this is going to change the world. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's totally good. Well, so these are good things. So if you guys have kids, pay your kids in sats,
Yeah.
great
Teach them about it,
suggestion. And
kids use technology. It's not hard for them to figure out.
I know
Like,
they're
they'll
way
pick it
smarter
up.
than we are. That's for sure. Well, maybe not you. You're a tech genius. I'm not.
Oh, thank you.
But so for everybody listening out there, please go follow Derek on Twitter at Derek M. Ross on Twitter. And you can definitely follow everything he's up to and check out his writing and make sure, you guys go like and subscribe. Go to Fountain also. We're still getting everything over there at fountain.fm. And you can go stream stats to all your favorite content creators. It's a really cool platform. That's really, I really like Fountain. I like what they're up to for sure. And then you guys can go follow me at DJ Valerie B Love, and you can also go get show notes at djvaleriebelove.com. But most important, go follow Derek. Follow Derek at Derek M. Ross. Yay. And I just really want to say thank you. And I'm so happy you're okay, Derek. I'm just glad
Thank
you're
you.
here.
I'm glad to be here too. Like I'm glad to be. I'd say I'm between 90 and 95% back to normal. Still got a little pain, but not too much. And like I'm getting stronger and better every single day. Like recovery has been really, really good for me.
Good. Well, you deserve it and we need you. So I'm glad you're
Thank you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. And this is DJ Valerie B Love with Bitcoin Peace and Music, signing off with Derek Ross. Yay. Thanks for joining us, you guys. And I hope you have the most blessed day. Peace, love, and aloha. Yay. All right.